Good evening, collectors. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For Collectors Hobby Palooza live stream. Real special treat tonight. We're going to be joined by Midlife Sports Cards Greg, as well as Darren from Return to Collecting with their off-topic live stream. But before we do that, have a special message from our official charity of Hobby Palooza, Signature for Soldiers.
The official charity of Hobby Palooza 2024 is Signatures for Soldiers. Since 2014, it has been their mission to help serve those who served our nation when it called on them and who now need our help. They work in cooperation with other charitable organizations to assist veterans with disabilities, homeless veterans, and existing members of the armed forces and their families who need extra support. Their efforts have been documented in Forbes and Beckett magazines. They will be operating a booth at the National, which is their biggest fundraising event of the year, as it includes a charity auction with the support of Heritage Auction House. For more information, visit signaturesforsoldiers.com. To donate to Signatures for Soldiers for our Hobby Palooza event, please use PayPal Goods and Services to send your money. Last year, Mike's PayPal account was frozen by too many people using friends and family. I will happily donate the PayPal P myself to make your donation whole. Send it to jekoffma@yahoo.com. That was jekoffma@yahoo.com. For every $10 donated, you will have an entry to one of the pieces of artwork created by Scott of Reindeer Studios or Eric Fourleaf that they will be making live on their Hobby Palooza show. Additionally, For Collectors have 50 exclusive quad auto channel cards available to the first 50 people who donate and request one. In the notes section with your PayPal payment, at a minimum, please include your YouTube handle. If you want to get one of the autographed channel cards, also include your mailing address. Every dollar collected will be presented by check to Signatures for Soldiers at the National in Cleveland. Thank you for supporting this worthy cause.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Darren?
Hey, guys. Greg, how are you?
Good. So, first thing I want to say before we get too far into this is thank you to For Collectors for hosting this whole thing. Thank you to John for the intro. Reminder to everyone to make a donation to Signatures for Soldiers. I made mine yesterday, but at the same time, if you haven't yet done that, consider doing that. It's definitely something that we're all trying to support. What do you have to say to everyone, Darren?
I agree. I'm going to make I was actually working on the donation on my phone when they were doing the intro, but I wasn't quick enough. So I'll finish it up when we're done.
Sweet. Make it a big one. So that way, when they, show the totals from each hour, ours looks like a big donation.
Okay. Do I need to do it right now?
No, you can do it right now if you'd like.
I was going to say, you talk for, no.
So, I have no problem talking. We know that.
I know. It's cool, though.
So for everyone out there, what the plan is because Darren and I love to not stay on topic, we just figured going in all directions at the same time is probably the way to go. So what we're going to be doing is just Q&A, live Q&A. If you have questions for us, put them over in the chat. We got Sammy Thunder backstage, and he'll be highlighting some of those questions. And then on my channel, I had a few questions that were sent in that I will be zipping through in the meantime as well. So we will be covering anything anyone wants to talk about. And I think that our first question we'll go ahead and start with here is from my previously written things from the channel. If you were to start a player run, Darren, who would you start your player run on?
Who would I start my player run on? Oh, wait, I already did it.
If you were to start one, start a new player run.
New one.
Yeah.
Roberto Clemente.
Really?
Yes.
And
two of his cards, and I really like all of his cards. So for me, player runs are tough because I don't like to buy cards that I don't really love looking at. And a lot of players have cards, even like Mantle, who's awesome, but he has cards that I'm not huge on. So why would I spend the money to buy him if I don't like the card? So for me to do a player run, I have to like all their cards. And Clemente, I do like all of his cards. So I think Clemente would be the person I would do a player run on.
And is that just because of your admiration for Theo as well? Is that part of it?
Whew, yeah, I mean, Theo, Lurock, huge admiration for those guys. Clemente was a pretty good player as well. Did a lot of good things. So I think in general, I like Clemente for who he was as a person. Obviously his playing skills were insane as well. So someone like that is someone I would be interested in. Like I said, I don't think he has a bad card either. So I think for me, that would be the goal if I were to do a player one.
Yeah, I think he's a good pick.
Thank you.
He's a good pick for sure. And I actually was asked this not that long ago on my channel, and I responded with Ted Williams. I have a couple of Ted Williams cards, so I'll show those while we're talking about it. But this is my 51 Bowman Ted Williams.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that card. Got a really, really good deal on that card. And I think it has great eye appeal. And then I also have the 56 Topps Ted Williams. So I do have two of his cards. I'd love to pick up one of his early play ball cards at the National. But I started making my list for the National actually last night. And it was up to about 25 cards. Oh, there you go. See, I would like that one. That one would be about perfect. So if you could sell that to me for, I don't know, about 40% of comps, we would.
So what I paid for it, luckily, when I won that auction.
Yeah, you got a good deal on that one. Okay, next question for you. If you could meet any YouTuber at the National, who would it be? Now, I'm assuming when it says this meet, I'm assuming we mean for the first time.
Yeah.
Because you've met some people at the National or at Strongsville and last year's National. So who have you not met that you would like to meet a YouTuber at the National?
Whew. There's quite a few that I haven't met that I'd love to meet, but I would say towards the top of that list, Adam from Splendid Sports would be on there. I've never met John, 3D80s kid, in person either. Mookie.
I mean, I'll tell you, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think Adam from Splendid Sports is going this year. So he's out.
Thanks, Adam. I'm not going to meet you there. Yeah, so I would say John Lurock. I would say John Lurock, Mookie.
Yeah, I think those are good choices. See, I met a lot of you guys at Strongsville. For me, it's an easy choice. It's Mookie Chilson. Is the easy choice. That's low-hanging fruit for me. I talk to the guy all the time. I text with the guy all the time, but we've never actually met. I still have this feeling that he's gonna finally meet me in person. He's gonna realize that I will not live up to whatever his expectations are, and then he'll go hang out with his buddy Pete the rest of the show. But I look forward to seeing my boy Mook in person for sure. All right, next one. If you could have only one Ted Williams card in your collection, what would it be?
What would it be?
You have the 39, so we'll say new card.
I've got the 39. I've got the 40. I've got the 41. The 49 Leaf.
Oh, that's a great choice.
Yeah,
that's a really good choice. I would go with the 39 play ball, but I think that 49 Leaf is a spectacular card. I mean, the 41 play ball. You don't have the 41 play ball, do you?
Yeah, I do. The red one.
You have the 41 play ball and the 39 play ball.
Yeah, no, the 41's the one that my dad and I bought when I was a kid.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. All right. So, I was told Greg was going to the show for pirate cards for an hour. I could show pirate cards. I mean, and we're not even talking about Roberto Clemente type pirates. I could go through a lot of pirate cards. There is an 1888 Allen and Ginter pirate card right there. How do I do this? There we go. That's a 3.5 of the pirate William Fly. We got Charles Vane here in an SGC2. I got a lot of pirate cards I could show.
Do you have a Blackbeard rookie card?
I don't have a Blackbeard. I know of a guy who has an ungraded Blackbeard that's supposed to be really nice. And this is what a degenerate pirate card collector I am. There was a show yesterday in Hayward, California, which is it's a small show. It's like 20 table show, and it's about an hour 25 from me. And the guy who has it was at the last Hayward show.
Nice.
And I thought about going all the way there just to try to get him to sell me his Blackbeard. But I'm like 3 hours on the road to start the process of maybe doing a Blackbeard pirate card deal. I don't know. That's
and that's tough, because I had the same thing when I bought my Honus Wagner card. There was a guy at the Denver show who went to basically every Denver show every quarter, right? And he always had a Honus Wagner card that I wanted, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go buy it. I went to the show, and I didn't see him, so I asked the guy that put the show on where he was. He said he's not coming to our shows anymore. I'm like, of course not. Glad I drove up here for this, right? Like, so. Always risky to draw to the show for the one card. Do you have his contact info? You just shoot him an email.
I don't have his contact info.
Maybe he's watching Hobby Palooza right now.
He's not. He's definitely not. What this guy probably doesn't even have an internet. The guy who set up at the table next to him at the last Hayward show, I do have his contact information. I almost texted him to talk to the guy.
You could ask the guy that puts the show on. He'd have to have at least have his phone number.
Yeah, but I don't know. It might creep this guy out. Okay, here's my next question for you. Yeah. This is from Eddie. Yeah, we got into the pirate topic. That's Mookie's fault though. Eddie's Cardboard Chaos asks, what do you look for in sports card channels when you consider subscribing? So when you're scrolling through YouTube, what makes you subscribe to a channel, Darren?
Two things. One, if they subscribe to me, I'll subscribe to them.
Oh,
and then also I love vintage. So anybody that shows vintage, especially some kind of cool vintage, I would definitely subscribe to your channel. Or if Theo recommends it.
Oh, yeah, Theo's that's the tiebreaker. Now I'll say this to everybody out there. By the way, Darren is about 25 or 30 subs away from 1,000.
23.
If you've not subscribed to Return to Collecting, you really should do that. So I would got to throw that out there.
And I'm going to do a giveaway for my 1,000th when I hit 1,000 subs, but I'm not going to start it until I hit 1,000 subs, because the way my subs have been rolling recently, if I do it now, it'll be like a 6-month, giveaway. It won't be valuable. So when I hit 1,000, I'll do a giveaway. Last giveaway, I gave away 3 cards. This time I'm going to give away 1, but it'll be 1 bigger card.
Whoa. So okay, so we need to get you to 1,000 so you can offer the giveaway where there's going to be something cool. I'm already subscribed, so I've done my part. For me, what do I look for? Honestly, I kind of look for channels that have done stuff a little bit different. So like there are a lot of channels who do similar things. The ones that catch my eye is when I come across a channel and they kind of do things unlike others, and I go, oh, that's kind of an interesting way of going about this or doing this sort of thing. So the ones that catch my eye are the ones that are not similar to others. I know a lot of people, it's like, when you're watching TV shows, you go like, oh, I like Seinfeld, so I'm going to like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm going to like The Office, and so you like similar shows. I actually like kind of a variety. So my biggest problem is I don't go, how like you go into YouTube and there's like your subscription list and the videos, and then there's like the regular everything else list, which has some of your Yeah, I never go to my recommended. I only go to my subscription list. So what happens is I rarely become aware of channels that I'm not already subscribed to. That's kind of like the black hole that I go into.
Yeah, and
So
I look at those sometimes, and every once in a while, I think the algorithm is gotten used to what I like to watch. Every once in a while, I'll see a channel I've never heard of, and they'll be showing like a really sweet vintage card. So I'll check it out, and then I'll subscribe. I saw a few people asking if I was going to give this away at 1,000 subs. No,
nice. So
not giving this one away. This
that
one I'm
is
keeping.
probably one of the nicest Nolan Ryan rookie card. I'm sorry, Mookie. One of the nicest Jerry Kuzman and
Yes.
Nolan Ryan rookie cards on the planet. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. And yeah, so I'm not giving that one away, but maybe I'll do something pretty cool though. I don't think it'll quite be that. I mean, that would, if I get to like 10 million subs, I would still not give that away. But
Yeah. Orlando's in the chat saying that he on Hobby Palooza next year, instead of having Mike Petty on, is going to have my dad and your dad sharing their collections. That would actually make for a pretty good show. I've been talking with my dad the last few days. I'm gonna do something later this week where I'm gonna have my dad on, because my dad's been to a bunch of nationals. And then my dad's got a great collection, but my dad's been changing his collection a lot. I know your dad has done some shifting into what he collects too. So I'm going to do a video that should come out later in this week with my dad, and you'll hear from some of his stuff. But that's actually a really good idea, Orlando.
That is, I'll see my dad in, I think, a week and a half before the national. So I'll do a collab with him too. I don't know what he's got in the house, but I'll ask him to pull some stuff to show.
Cool. So next question is Type 1 photos. What's your take on Type 1 photos? I know I was on with Sammy Thunder the other day. He did one of his chill and chat things, and Rick Vintage Oddball Cards was on, and he had some really cool photos, Type 1, Type 2 photos that he's going to be selling soon, and they're pretty cool. What's your take on Type 1 photos, Darren?
Before I answer that, your question, the original one of that first questions of who do I want to meet at the national? Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Sorry, I didn't mention him. I absolutely want to meet Rick. But Type 1 photos, I think they're great. I actually, one of the things, because I know I've got my list this year of cards that Petty's in the chat. I need him to start making fun of me for that here in a sec. But one of the cards on my list, I can't find it, right? And it'll be I'll keep up my eye out for it, but hopefully someday I can. But I just can't find it. So when I search for it on eBay, I sometimes recently have had something else pop up because of what the search was, and it's a Type 1 photo, and because I searched for DiMaggio Gehrig. The Type 1 photo is a photo taken at, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was like 1930, I think 38. And it had Gehrig, DiMaggio, Melot, and then I can't remember who the fourth guy was. It wasn't a big Hall of Fame or anything, but it's the four of them, and they've got their hands on a bat. And it's a Type 1 photo, and that keeps popping up in my feed on eBay because I'm searching for DiMaggio Gehrig. And I don't know. That keeps popping up, and I think I might buy it. I don't know, maybe not, but I like that. So there are some Type 1 photos. There was a Type 1 photo that went up for auction, I think like 5 months ago. It was a Type 1 from Lou Gehrig Day of Lou Gehrig when he gave his speech, and it went for a lot of money. But I actually was pushing my dad to buy it, and he told me no. But I figured I'd give it a shot. But that was a sweet picture too. So I'm getting more and more into those just because it's a change of scenery, right? Because we know all these really awesome cards, and the images are, kind of, we know what the images are, but the Type 1 photos are cool because you get similar players, similar years. They're very rare, but you get, a different pose, which I think is kind of neat. So I like them. I'd buy them.
Yeah, they've grown on me. I mean, it's an example of how I think my interests have evolved. Like, just in the last few years, I've seen myself shift decades, and things like that have become more interesting to me. Will they be big time collectibles someday? I know a lot of people are thinking that's the direction. I think that they're cool, but I guess the part I don't really get is like a Type 3 photo is so much less expensive than a Type 1 photo. And so for me, being a budget guy, I'm like, well, I'll just go for the Type 3 because I like the image. Like the image is the same. It's just
Mhm.
when the image was created is different. So, but I do appreciate that some people think that the Type 1 on the older paper and, close from the original and all that is cool,
Mhm.
for sure. All right.
Yeah, no, I
Next
agree. I
one I
think
got. Go
they're
ahead.
all great. I mean, if you like the picture, buy the one you could, buy the one in your budget, right?
Hmm.
I mean, honestly, I have pictures in my office that are really old pictures that have been printed recently that well, not super recently, but that are signed. So like for me, it's more of the picture than how old the picture is. But if you're buying it as a collectible, I guess I could see why
Yeah.
people like the Type 1s because of the fact that they are, they're printed around the time that the picture was taken.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right. Next question. You look down and you find a $100 bill laying on the ground, and you walk into a card show. What is the one card you're going to buy with it? So basically, what's the card you want with if you could get for under $100? That's a tough question. Darren's looking for more digits in the cost of the card, right?
Nah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
a
I
three-digit
just
card. Come on.
I need to think about my list. I'd probably,
I'll go first if you want. I
yeah,
I
please.
really I really like the 1955 All-American Football set. Um, that set has a lot of they didn't have a ton of vintage football cards, and I like vintage football cards. And so there are a lot of players that don't have cards from other sets. And so if I had $100, a lot of those cards are not crazy expensive. So I have the autogram from the 55 All American set. I'd like to have the Sammy Baugh. I think that there's a Newt Rockney in there, which is probably in a decent grade, would get over $100. There's a Four Horsemen card that's pretty cool. There are some very cool cards in the set. There's a Thorpe card, but that wouldn't be under 100. So I would probably pick off one of those cards personally.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. One I actually like is the 85 tops Clemens. I don't have that card. I get it in like
85 tops Clemens?
yeah. What is
I
that?
got
What was that? I'm assuming you get that in like a 5 or a 6 or something for $100, right?
a 5 or a 6 of the 85 tops Clemens.
Yeah.
I think you could get it in a 10 for under $100.
Really?
Couldn't you?
Isn't that his rookie card? Am I losing my mind?
1985 tops Roger Clemens.
Yeah, it's one where it says his name
Yeah.
like diagonally.
It's diagonally. What are you talking about?
I have no idea. Am I thinking about the wrong year? What's
This
85?
card?
Yeah, that one. That card in the 10 is $100.
No, at a 10 it's over 100, but in a 9 it's
Okay.
probably in a 9 I bet it's a $40 card, $30
Oh,
card.
nice. So there you go. Nailed it. So I actually, because you guys are making fun of me, I actually bought a card the other day. It was more than 100, but it was less than 200.
Oh. Yours is in a 4.
5.
No, that's a 5. That's beautiful.
The grade doesn't matter. I don't care about the grade. I don't care about the slab or any of that. I care about the card, and I think it's a great looking card. It's really good condition actually. I went into a card store. It's funny. My wife, we're coming back from Father's Day lunch up in Denver.
I got it too.
Oh, nice. There you go. We got matching cards. I love it.
I actually, to be honest with you, I kind of like the 50 a little bit better.
I don't have that one.
I really like the 50. I like them both, obviously, but
yeah, they both look really good.
Okay, so one last question. If you were to define a super collector, how would you define a super collector, Darren?
I mean, I would define a super collector as, assuming by super collector we're talking, of a specific player. I mean, I guess it could be a set. You have the majority of the stuff. Like I don't think condition would be a thing for me to say you're a super collector or not. But like, I collect Nolan Ryan Topps cards, but I collect his base, more or less his base top cards. I got some other stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm a Nolan Ryan super collector. I would say, super collector is somebody that's got 95% of the player's cards, or 95% of the cards from whatever. Like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm a super collector of the T206," right? I'm gonna slay the monster. Cool. If you have like 95%, if you have like all the T206 cards except for like the Wagner and the Plank and the Sherry McGee, then I would say, yeah, you're a super collector. So I would just say somebody that has the majority of cards from whatever it is they're collecting.
Okay. They're saying that Clemens in a 10 is like $1,000 card. That's surprising. What is it in a 9? I'm gonna look that up.
$50. Ray says $50.11.
Is it? There's one. Here's one for sale for $56 in a 9.
So I would take two. I would find a cheaper 9 and take 2 of them for $100. There you go. Nice.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go over to the chat. If the chat has any questions, fire them up for us. There was one that came on really early on that I thought was really a great question. It was from Ken. And it said, how did the two of you come together to do your YouTube channel together? How did that transpire? What is your recollection on how we connected to start collaborating?
I'm trying to,
because I know the answer. I know the answer. What's your recollection?
I remember I was actually at a men's weekend with my brother and my dad down in New Orleans, and you and I started texting, and we hadn't really texted much before we started texting, and that was probably like, I think, October of last year, and then we just started chatting more on text. I don't think we ever actually spoke on the phone. And then, you invited me to come onto your channel, which was an honor, still is an honor. Doing this is an honor, but you invited me on. So I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I'll come on. And we talked about, didn't we talk about our collecting strategy on our first one? And then we of course became like bros. So then now we do this all the time because we're both pretty busy. So being able to do this a couple times a month is awesome because it gives us time to kind of have a face-to-face, and then everybody else gets to sit in and eavesdrop on our conversation, which is cool.
Right. If it sounds like some people were asking some questions. I haven't been too focused on the comments, so I think Sammy's asking people to retype them. I know Andrew typed a couple, so maybe Sammy can find one of Andrew's. I remember, I don't know how I found your channel. I just randomly found your channel and started watching it. And I was like, I like this guy. I think Darren seems like a cool guy.
Thank you.
I remember I was trying to figure out, well, how do you get a hold of somebody? And so I went to, I texted Theo and I asked for your number. And then that's how we started texting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was toward the end of last year. It was like December. And I was like really starting to say, I need to branch out more. My channel was about a year old. I hadn't really talked with anybody. I hadn't really done a lot of collaborations. And so I was like, I need to collaborate more. So that's what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
I had only done a couple collaborations before that. And I thought it was fun chatting with you, and we did a quick follow-up, I think. And then it just kind of went rolling from there.
Well, we had fun. All right.
Exactly.
If you could interview PSA, SGC, and any of the other grading companies, what would you ask them? And if you won the lotto, what would be the first card you'd buy? So let's start with, what would you ask PSA, SGC, and the other grading companies? I know what I would ask PSA first. So the first thing I'd say to PSA is, it was shared in court that the serial number 1 Honus Wagner card was altered. why have you not yet decertified that Honus Wagner card from PSA's database? That would be the question I would ask PSA. That's what I would ask Nat Turner if he came on right now. If you are decertifying cards that are found out to be altered after they received a grade, and that was proven in a court of law to be an altered card, why have you not yet decertified it? That's my question to PSA. What question do you have, Darren?
I would actually ask SGC. I would say, if you have some bigger cards and you don't want to send them to SGC to get reslabbed and or regraded, why don't you allow somebody to schedule like a face-to-face, right? Even for a premium, right? Because my Kuzman Ryan, it's in an older slab, and I mean, I just want to get it reslabbed with the new. I think the new labels look nicer, but I'm not going to put that card in the mail. That's crazy. So, can I come down there and swap it, right? But they don't offer it, and I don't understand why. Because they have a nice office. Invite people in and charge them a premium to do it. So I'm curious why they don't do that. That would be my question.
My question to SGC, if it would probably have to be a private question for me to ask this to Peter, but because I think Peter's a solid guy. Everything I've seen with him, he seems like a really, really good guy.
100%.
If I was hanging out at the bar with Peter, or he was hanging out on my couch and we were watching a football game, I'd say, be honest. Did you really want to sell out to PSA? Did you really want to have collectors buy you guys out? Do you really think that that's good for you guys and for everybody? Like, tell me your honest opinion on when that happened. I would love to know what he thought about that, because I know he's got to put on the company face and he's got to say, oh well, but I want to know what he really thinks. Because the thing about SGC is SGC was sort of like the the man. It was like they were the ones who they were trying to slay Goliath. They were the little guy, and people were getting in because they cared about us as collectors, and he was fighting the good fight for us, and they were customer service. And then it's like the mom and pop coffee shop that you go to for years and you love them, and then all of a sudden, what happens? But Starbucks writes them a check and buys them out. Yeah. And it's like, why'd you do that? Like, why did you do that to us? So that would be my question for SGC.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I'm assuming he wouldn't want to answer that question because it's a very personal, private bank account related answer, which I completely understand. And I would probably do the same thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, at the end of the day, a business's job is to maximize profit. That's really the point of a job. Now, there are other things that you probably want to accomplish along the way. But if you are an owner of a company like this and the big guy comes and writes you a massive check, it would be really hard to not take it. So I get it. I do get it. But I would just love to know what his honest opinion on the whole thing is.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it too, it's not just they write you the big check, but I think a lot of times in a situation like that, it's probably like, not to get too like Godfathery, but it's like option A, you take the big check. Option B, we crush you, right? Like, and it's like,
yeah,
right. And that's totally good. So there was a second part to Andrew's question here. If you won the lotto, speaking of coming into a bunch of money, if you won the lotto, what would be the first card you'd buy and why?
I mean, the 52 Mantle is just like, it's like the card that was on the cover of all the books growing up, and it was just like, I'll never own it unless I, win the lottery. And so that would just be like a showcase piece. So it would be really hard for me to say something besides that. There are a lot of cards I'd really like, but that one is like one of the most unrealistic cards. Like if I went and bought at the National a $50,000 mantle, like I would come home and my wife would she loves me, but that would be a really tough phone call to make, you know?
Right.
But if we had just won the lottery, she would say, cool. Like,
Right.
why'd you only get one? You know?
Mhm.
So I would have to go with the mantle. What about you?
I was gonna say for 50 grand, you'd be like, why'd you buy it in a one? Right.
Right. Right.
Um, for me, I don't know. I would say if I won the lottery, I'd probably go with something. I don't know. There's a couple cards that are just to me really interesting that are I feel like no matter what the grade is going to be out of my price point. So I would say I would go with the Bryce Williams, Christy Mathewson.
Oh, that's a cool one. All right.
So
What do we got?
I'm assuming like in a one, it's still like way out of my price range. So
All right. Baseball collector. Besides baseball collector, who is each of your favorite channels? Darren, do you have present company excluded? Do you have a favorite channel?
I don't really have a favorite channel. I watch so many different channels and then this isn't me being like, politically correct BS answer. This is literally like there's just kind of depends on what I'm looking for that day, right? Like if I'm going to the gym and I need something to listen to for a while, I'll listen to like you or Dylan. If I'm wanting to see something just like super super amazing, I'll watch Dave Blue Jacket or Josh Stottlemyre's channels. If I want to hear about a lot of history on something, I'll listen to Orlando's channel. I mean, I think everybody's got really good stuff, right? I want to see some interesting cards and some interesting things around the baseball card Hall of Fame. I watch Ray's channel. Like, I think everybody's channel has really put it this way. If I'm subscribed to your channel and I watch it, then it's a channel that I enjoy. So I wouldn't say I could really pick a favorite. And the only reason I'm saying that is because baseball collector is I'm not allowed to pick it based on the way this question is phrased.
Right.
So since I can't pick baseball collector, then I don't really have a favorite, but I really enjoy watching content from everybody, just kind of depending on what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah, I mean, I think my answer is
And
probably
Chris from Missouri too. Chris from Missouri too. I like Chris. I just in general, I like listening to Chris talk about cards. It's very soothing. Like if I can't sleep, I'll listen to Chris and then I'm out.
I think that a lot of different channels, there are things on those channels that I really like. So I'll give you an example. Like Card Collector 2, I only watch about 10% of his videos. But when he goes to card shows and he's bundling and he's negotiating, I love his card show videos. Like if one of those pops up, I will watch it. Even though I don't even collect what he collects, I love seeing the way his wheels are turning, seeing how he's bundling, seeing how he's negotiating. I think that that's really entertaining. Some of the episodes of Chasing Cardboard have been really interesting. I think that watching them go in and discover stuff is fun. Orlando and Blue Jacket, a lot of the times they'll be teaching things where I like watching some of their episodes where I get to learn. So those are the ones that jump off the page to me. But it's not like one person, every one of their videos I love, but there are certain types of videos from about 4 or 5 different channels that I really enjoy. I mean, I know he's my buddy, but Mookie's Mookie Minute is freaking fantastic. It is like he does this like 5-minute expose on something that happened. He did one the other day on Larry Doby and how they paid off the mortgage on Larry Doby's mortgage when he was at Yankee Stadium one time. It's just like some of that stuff is fantastic. So it's like there are little sections of a bunch of different channels that I really enjoy.
100%. Yeah. Like I think there's so many other channels too. Like Andrew Nuff said, like if I want to see something that's just incredible, watch his channel. I think there's just so many people that have really good stuff on their channels. It's just fun. And honestly, there's channels where guys show stuff that's not super crazy expensive or rare, but the passion they have when they talk about it is really awesome too. I mean, I just enjoy watching lots of different stuff. But of course, baseball collector is my favorite, but I can't say it for this.
All All right. Next one. If you were to live forever, how would that change your collecting goals and focus? Wow. That's a tough question.
I honestly think that if I found out I'm going to live forever, I would become depressed and stop collecting.
Yeah. I
mean,
mean,
it's cool. It's cool to think about that if you were young, but I feel like, if I stopped aging, it might be different. But if I continue the path I'm on from when I was 35 to 45, that exponential curve, if that just kept going forever, I don't think I'd really want to do much. But I would say, I don't think if I found out today that I'm going to live to be like 100, let's say, that seems like it's pretty old. I don't think it would really change how I collect, because the way I collect specifically is I buy cards that I enjoy looking at, right? I don't pick a card because someone else told me to get it. I might pick a card because I'd never seen it before and I've seen somebody else with it and I like it. But I only buy cards I really enjoy looking at. And I don't know if that would necessarily change if I was going to keep it for a long time. I mean, I think that, it would be, it wouldn't, I mean, I don't buy cards on the hopes that the price will go up. If the price goes up, cool. But, if I'm going to live forever, then I don't really care if the price goes up. But I do care if the price goes up now, because I'm not going to live forever. So, my wife or kids or whomever will inherit it. So I hope the value is higher. But, I don't buy cards because I hope the value goes up. And to be honest with you, I could do another video of the value drop on some of my bigger purchases. And, I don't regret any of that. So I don't think if I lived forever, other than being depressed, for having to live forever, I don't think it would really change how I collect.
All right, I'm going to answer that question. But first, when my dad pops up a question in the chat, I have to ask it. So right behind you on the case, there's one empty spot. My dad wants to know what you're saving that one empty spot for. And then I'm going to answer
I'm not.
that
I actually pulled the card out because I wanted to show it. Look what I got. To Darren, best wishes, Nolan Ryan. I got a personalized 76 Ryan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So
that's not your birth year. You were born in 79?
78. So this is my birth year. I just like the card. This is a better looking card than a 78. I would say there was a couple that I was picking between, and I thought this one is one of my favorites. And I just thought that having him sign it, across his shoulders there in the jersey would just look good. So that's what actually goes in this spot right there.
Yeah. All right. So my answer to the question is, I think it would change my collecting a lot. I feel like I'm on the clock. And so there are certain cards I want to acquire. And so I feel like I find myself, if I'm, because I'm on the clock and we're all on the clock, I want to scale up to those cards that I want to obtain at some point. And by doing that, I have to sometimes drive by some of the other smaller cards because they hijack me from getting to those bigger cards. But if I had forever, I could accumulate those along the way because I know I'll eventually get to those bigger cards. But if I'm ever going to get those big cards that I want, I have to at some point say no to other cards to allow me to get to those cards before I run out of time. So I think the breadth of my collecting would be wider. I would have way more cards if I had forever, but instead I have to have a narrower focus to allow myself to get there. That's how I would answer it.
It's a good answer. Good question, Mook.
Uh-oh. What's the best thing your dad taught you as it relates to collecting? Do you want to go first, Darren?
Sure. I think some of the stuff he's taught me, buy what you love. Don't buy what you think you should get because other people talk about it. So buy what you want. Find something that you're passionate about from a collecting perspective and focus on that. Tell me that. And then he also taught me that, kind of back to the previous question, life's too short to kind of not go after what you want to go after. So, there's been times where I've been, obviously if when my wife sees it, she's going to yell at him. But like, there's been times where I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend that much on a card. And he's like, but if you really want the card, he's like, why not? So, all right, it's a good point, Dad. So he gives me lots of really good advice on life in general. Like my dad is like my guy. He's my go-to guy for pretty much anytime I need advice on anything. But every once in a while, he'll give me collecting advice that I love the advice, but it's probably not the most perfect advice. Like, go ahead and buy the card that's too much, or, why buy one when you could buy two? But he loves the collecting. He loves to see the cards. So I would say the best advice he gave me was buy what I want. And then secondary advice he gave me is if you really want it, just buy it.
Yeah. Oh man, this is going to be an interesting. I don't know how this is going to go, but so my dad. First of all, my dad and I are tight, and one of the reasons I think that we're as tight as we are is because of cards. Like we took so many long drives, in his little 2-seat pickup truck to card shows where you're talking, and you're kind of talking, but you're just also talking about collecting because you're on the way to a show or you're on the way home from a show. So like, I feel like one of the best things that somebody could do with their kid is to get them into collecting and to go to shows together, because it allows you all that time together, but the life lessons that you learn as a result of it. Like I have a passion for economics, and I know that sounds weird to some people, but I love economics. And I think a lot of it derives from talking with my dad about supply and demand. Like I learned really early. I mean, I was like, not even 10 when I'm realizing that new cards are going to be junk. They're going to be junk because there's so many of them. And my dad got into collecting, the 60 set first, the 1960 top set, and hearing him talk about why and why these will be valuable, and so you learn about supply and demand through cards, but you also learn about money management through cards. You learn about budgeting through cards. You learn about taking care of your stuff. Like I see people that are just treat their car and their house and their stuff like crap, but you learn, like, if you destroy something, it's going to lose value. And I learned that the first time through cards. Like kids don't take care of stuff, but when you're taking cards and you're taking them precisely and you're putting them into sleeves and you're protecting them and you're investing in the things to protect them, like you're learning life stuff that, like, now I have a house and I don't want to go do yard work, but I know I have to take care of my house or it's going to deteriorate. I don't want to spend money having my house painted, but you have to protect the house to make sure that it maintains value. So it's like it wasn't just so much about collecting in cards as it is about like how to do like almost everything in life, that you learn through it. And I think it's one of the best things that people could do for their kids is to get them into a hobby like this because of all the life skills that you learn along the way. I mean, yeah.
And I don't think it's weird to be passionate about economics. I love economics.
Well, I like it, but so Jackson Holiday isn't a good buy, Andrew says. Yeah, no, I mean, I think Jackson Holiday, even if he turns out to be fantastic, a lot of his cards will be worth less than they are at this very moment. So what is Petty saying? See how fun your face will be when your card drops by $20 graded. I mean, Petty went off a little bit yesterday about his feelings on new cards, and he also did on Sports Card Radio the other day, and was pretty honest about his thoughts. I do have some new cards. I mean, I pulled a few out. I do collect a few, but they're more sentimental. I've got my Matt Manning base autograph, and then my Matt Manning refractor auto out of $4.99, and then my Matt Manning out of $150, and then nice. I got him out of $99, and then add a 50, and then add a 25. So, I mean, I do collect some new cards, but yeah,
That's very specific, right? Because you're buddies with them.
very, very specific.
Mhm.
I mean, but like this Carl Hubble, which you could buy for about the price of a Matt Manning out of 25. I think the Carl Hubble's probably got a lot longer term value to it than a
Yeah,
Manning
I mean,
card.
and that's my thing, right? Like when I think about the modern cards, I mean, I mean, honestly, to me, like this is a modern card.
That card is a nice card. Yeah.
So like I would say this is to me like I mean, if somebody's like, do you collect modern? Sure. I've got some stuff from the 80s. For me, that's modern.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, if somebody were to say, you know, do you want to buy modern? I'd say, you know, why? When I could get something like this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like these are just much more beautiful cards, much more meaningful cards. I would much rather look at them. I mean, there's definitely, I mean, let's, you know, because of the week and what happened this week, right? Like, you know, I love having cards like this, right? It's just,
Yeah.
to me, that's way more interesting. And I'm not saying that collecting modern, there's anything wrong with collecting modern. Like I said before, right? Collect the cards you enjoy collecting. If you want to do it as an investment, then I think across the board, it's not a great idea. But if you are insistent on it, I would say that it's a lot more volatile to try to do with modern than it is to do with vintage. But in the end of the day, if you're collecting because you enjoy collecting, you enjoy looking at the cards, then it really doesn't matter. I mean, you could say I love building rainbows of modern new stuff. So cool. Go ahead and do that. Well, Greg's up. We'll show something else. Here's a Satchel Paige card.
Go for it, Mook. Ask one more. I'm going to show you. See, the other thing I love about cards is because they're a tangible thing, they can be given and received.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times the story behind the card and how you got it is more important to which card's value to me than it is to someone else. I mean, you gave me this card. This is a card I wanted for a long time. And you know, I go to the mail one day and I've got a package from you, and I'm like, holy crap, dude, that's a sweet card. I was pumped. I love Warren Spahn. You know, Petty's out there going, Greg's holding up a card of Greg. Uh, but I love this card, and the fact that I got it from you, like this card will never ever leave my collection.
Mhm.
You know, my friend David, after my dog passed away, like I'm still jacked up from my dog passing away. And he sent me this card, and this is the only card of an athlete with his dog ever.
That's awesome.
And he sent me this beautiful card. And I mean, and I opened the package, and I just like I couldn't contain myself. I just got emotional, and I'm like this will never leave my collection. Like,
Yeah.
where you get a card, you know, you gave me this too. This Nettles autograph. It's the Nettles. It's the loop variation too, and with this MLB debut date. And so, where you get the card, a lot of the times,
Mhm.
it is almost more important than the card itself. So, like when earlier someone was saying, "Hey, you know, what card would you buy if you could have any card?" It's like, well, the story of how I was in Strongsville and I got, you know, my Leaf Warren Spawn with you by my side as my wingman, comping cards for me, and then walking around with everybody saying, "Hey, dude, I just bought this." Like that, this will never leave my collection because of the story behind where I was when I got it and how I got it, and that's one of the things about this whole thing that I just love, that there's a story to it. And
Yeah, and that's like the Satchel Paige I just showed, right? The 49 Bowman. I bought this at the National with my dad. We were looking at it, and I was like, "Man, I love that card." And he's like, "Well, you should get it." And I said, "Nah, I've already bought enough stuff, and it's kind of pricey." He's like, "You should get it." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't think I'm going to." And he was like talking me into it. And then he said that he'd split it with me. So I say, "All right, sweet." So, but yeah, no, I agree. But that card I'll never get rid of because it's like, it's a memory of doing something with my dad having to do with baseball cards more recently, not when I was a kid, right? And by the way, all the cool stuff you've sent me, I've got my Nolan Ryan auto. It's right here leaning up against my Titanic. And then the Pumpsy Green auto. It's hanging up on the wall here next to Ted Williams, actually.
See, and I'm a sentimental guy. So like when I've sent you a couple of gifts, it's like
they're from they're meaningful.
They're things that are, and Sammy's going to come on here in a minute. Just ignore him for a minute because he's going to try to ruin our fun time and into this. But it's 5 minutes. It's like it's to me the most valuable thing I can give you is not something that's an expensive item. It's something that is an item that is meaningful to me, but I care about someone enough that I want them to have it. I want them to participate in it and have and them get to be the new caretaker of it. Yeah. And like, that's what I can do. Like, I could buy someone $100 card, or I could say, this has been a card I've had since I was 9 and I want you to have it now,
100%. No, and I love those. Like those, no matter where I move over the rest of my life, which apparently if I live forever, it's going to be with me for forever. Right. Those pieces will always be on display in my card room or office or wherever I spend the most time. Because I just like truly, truly appreciate those because they're from you and they're so meaningful because you had them for so long and they meant so much to you. And it means a lot that you give those to me. So I really appreciate that.
Of course. And, Sammy's going to come on here in a second and ruin this, but I do want to say, like, we got the National coming up and I genuinely, it doesn't matter what I bring home from the National, like card wise. Like most cards I'm ever going to buy, I could find them on eBay. I could find them on REA auction or something. And and the cards are cool, but like I never in a million years would have thought I could take the time and energy and money to go to the National and come home literally empty-handed. I could come home empty-handed, and I'm 100% sure it could be a really, really fun 3 or 4 days. Like
100% agree. 100%
and that's the thing about Strongsville is Strongsville was so much fun that I'm afraid that the National is going to be a letdown.
No, it won't be. So the National is going to be super fun. Strongsville was fun. I had so what's funny for me is the first day at Strongsville at the show, I wasn't having any fun because I didn't find anything I wanted to buy. And I needed you, I needed David, I needed Orlando, I needed Petty, of course. I needed people to poke me and be like, you got to just buy something. But the National is different because there's just so much more stuff. And I would agree with you 100%. If you leave there with no cards, it could be an awesome show. But if you leave there with some gold cards, it's an awesome plus show.
That's true. All right. I know now it's, we're at 2 minutes. It's really like probably 30 seconds. So we'll probably wrap this up here in just a second. Sammy, feel free to come in, and all that stuff. I had a blast. Again, for collectors, guys, thank you for including us. I hope that we did well enough that you'll have us back next year. I was on last year. I felt lucky to participate. I feel fortunate to be a part of it again this year. I will say the thing that the National will have that Strongsville didn't have is it will have my dad. It will have your dad, your brother, but it'll also have my guy Mookie. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. And I get back to my previous answer to that question. This is my first Hobby Palooza. So I technically could say my favorite channel is For Collectors because Mike, who, baseball collector, was my favorite channel. He didn't invite me on last year.
Yeah.
So
For Collectors.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. And if everybody watching hasn't donated yet, please make your donation. It's a super worthwhile cause, and absolutely you should feel good about making a donation to this charity.
And guys, again, Darren is like 25 subscribers away. Help him get to 1,000. I know someone already said they did it. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you all you guys for in the chat. For hanging out. I know that they're at a hard break. So Sammy, I don't know if you're coming on or you're just going to cut this.
Listen to cut. We have a minute left.
We have less than a minute. We have 20 seconds or something. So
you just show some cards. Speed show.
Yeah. Oh, there he is. Oh, we're done. He just pulled the shepherd's crook. We're out.
Dang,
Thanks, guys.
I was showing the Jackie Robinson rookie and the